AWS account, we used to see two users, one is root user and another one is IAM user. So root user will be provided by AWS itself, so we don't have any control on it. And whatever the user which we will be creating as per our requirement, then these are our responsibility to create the users and assign the roles and responsibilities. So in the Excel class, we created a couple of users and we have assigned a couple of access related roles. And we discussed about how to use those users to log into our AWS, right? So root user is the topmost user. He'll have access to everything. Typically, you might ask, one question like, why do we need to create multiple users, though we have a root user? Can't we share the same root user credentials with all the users? No, because this the whatever the root users we have, these are all with respect to email ID and password, right? So which means this will be your organization email ID, which will not be given to your account, right? This is one of the reasons where we go with IAM user. Do you see my point? See, the root user access will be provided if we are supposed to give this email ID and corresponding password, right? So, whereas for IAM user, this is not the case. So, there we are not asking to enter any username, to enter any email ID as a username. Instead, it is just asking a plain user, uh, just the alphabet, right? Not exactly the email ID. So this is one of the reasons we go for IAM user. Okay, and also the last class we created a couple of users as well. So yeah, as I mentioned, so if you have looked into my earlier videos, you'll have some clarity on this. So this is the account, right? So what exactly the account? This is the account ID. So this is the 12-digit account ID which will be given to us as and when we create a AWS account. Now I'm trying to share this particular account with different users. How can I share my account with different users? With the help of IAM service, which is offered by Amazon. Clear? Next, uh, in this class, we'll create some, groups and everything. So basically, this account will be shared across multiple users. Do you see this, Bob, Suhas? So these are all different users we have, and each a couple of users are belong to a particular group. Group refers it can be a dev or dev test or production or quality or engineering team, right? So it all depends on the group. So what will happen? Let's say we have 10 different users, 10 different uh, members in a team. If I have to assign some roles and responsibility, I will have to create an individual user and allow to assign some access, or allow to assign some roles to this particular user, right? So this is how we'll do. Instead of creating multiple users and assigning them individually, why can't we create a particular group itself? Group in the sense, for example, let me try to draw quickly. We have two teams. This is the dev team and this is QA team. Okay, let's understand. And this is a dev team and this is a QA team. All right. Now I might be having user one, right? User one and user two and user three are working on dev team, and whereas user 4, user 5, and user 6. So these three users are working creating. So in the last session, what we did, we just created a different user. For example, user 1 belong to dev team. We created a separate user and we assigned a particular role and we started using it. In this case, we have assigned EC2 full access to this user, and this user is able to proceed with EC2 access. Similarly, for the another user, we have given S3 full access. so that he was able to proceed with S3 related activities. Correct? So if we have 6 different team members, then we'll have to create an individual users and we'll have to assign the roles individually. Right? So this is one option. But we have another option. Instead of assigning the roles and responsibility on a particular user, instead I can create a group. I can create a group, right? I can call this as a group, right? So I'll just call this group as a dev team, and I'll call this group as creative. So this particular team will have necessary access for all the testers, and this group will have necessary access which is required by dev team. In future, if someone comes in and let's say user 7 comes into dev team, so I don't have to assign all the roles and responsibilities which is assigned to this user. Instead, I'll just point to this particular user to this particular group. So this is how group will help. Do you see my point? Instead of creating a multiple users and assigning the roles and responsibility individually, we can create a group and we can assign a necessary access to this group only, right? Whatever the access or whatever the roles we need, so everything we will assign here, so that I don't have to assign on the user level. Instead, I'll assign it on the group level, and whatever the users I want, I can just assign these users to this particular group. Okay. Now we have one question. There is a user one, right? So user one, let's say I have a user called user 8. Okay. Can a particular user can be shared between 2 different groups? Yes, it is possible. It is possible. So which means a user can assign with can be assigned with multiple groups as well, right? So this is what I would like to discuss. Let's get into and let's see. We'll create some groups and we'll create some users and we'll perform some activities. Let's see how it goes. All right. Okay. So this is a root user account. I've just logged in. So what I'll do, I'll just create one group. So how to create a group? So I need to get into IAM service. In the meantime, any questions on the groups?
No, Naveen.
Thank you. See, last class we have created users under this section. Now we need to click on this section called user groups under access management. Now click on group and give a group name called dev group, right? And if you are already having some user which you have already created, that will show here. As of now, I don't have any users which I have created for this user, so I'm not able to see it. Right? If you have any, you can directly assign those users to this particular group. We will see that later. Now, as I mentioned, I'm just creating a group, and for this group, I'm assigning the roles, not on the user. Please understand, right? So we are just making all the changes on this particular group itself. Okay. What we can give. So for this, let me try to give S3 full access. Okay. So instead of assigning these roles on the user, I'm just assigning these things on the group. What I'm trying to do here, I'll do one thing. I'll just create a group. Let me put it in this way. Okay. So I'm just creating a group called dev team, right? And I'll give access of S3. What's the access or what's the role I'm giving? S3 full access. Okay. So this is the access I'm trying to give. And later, let me try to create another group called QA, where I'll try to give only EC2 read only one. Let's see what is the difference here, right? So we'll see that. All right. So I'm just giving this access, S3 access on this particular group. So now clicking on create group. Now a group called dev group got created. Now what I have to do after having the group, I need to click on user because I'll have to create a user and I'll have to assign back to this group. This group is having access to full S3 full access. Okay. Now click on user. Click on add user. Okay. Let's give user1 as a username. And as I mentioned, so if we will discuss this in today's class or probably in the next upcoming sessions, how to use this access key, access key ID and secret key ID now to log into your account. So as of now, I'm interested in password by entering some password. So and that too, that's a customized one. So I will give user1 as 123. Check. Okay. And it's an optional one, but it is always recommended to check this one because it's a good practice to give an option to the end user to give his password, right? So if you want, you can give. I have already covered this option, so let us see what will happen if you don't check this option. Click on permission. Okay. Now look at here. Yesterday we created some user and no, we had given some access or policy list with the help of this option, correct? So on the first option, it is saying I have already created a group. So you can select a particular group for this particular user. So I'm creating a user called user1 and I am willing to move this user1 to dev group. And please note here, dev group is having access of S3 full access. Click on tag, view, you can check. So now after we create this user, right? So we have not added the password change policies, hence it will not ask me to create it, correct? Okay, let me copy this one. See, it is not necessary that I should copy the same, the same URL. It is just, AWS console login. So why I was just copying this is I don't have to copy back my account ID. So here, what you can do, you can directly log in. See, is asking again. Okay, let me check. Okay, this is the default thing we'll get, right? Now I want to log in as a IAM user. See, the first option will it last is to enter 12-digit password. Do you see my point? See, if I just try to log in with the help of this URL, I don't have to mention the account ID, right? So that's the reason this account ID is mapped with this domain. So that's the reason it is showing here. But typically, all will be using the same common AWS login page. So in that case, you need to enter this account details. I'll just copy this one. I'll just paste. Yeah, this is the account ID. And click on next. And now it's your responsibility to enter your user and password. All right. Now I'm able to log into this one. So see, look at here. It did not ask me to change the password after I log in because I have not selected a policy to change the password. Correct. Now, use with the help of user one, I'm able to log into this particular account. All right. Now, what I'll do, let me try to create a bucket, right? With the help of, let me create here only. That is not a problem. Okay. Let's just create a bucket. And as I mentioned, If you are creating a bucket here, then I should be able to see all the resources in root user as well. My bucket, enable this one. We know how to create a bucket and how to utilize all these options. So by considering that, I'm just creating a bucket. And user one has created a bucket, and same bucket information should be available. Look at here. So not this one. Okay. So this bucket also present in under root user. Now, what I will do, I'll create another group, right? I'll create another group. Let's see. Let me create it here on the right. So, okay. So I should get into IAM. I see. I'm in a. I just logged in as a root account user, right? And now I'm trying to create another group called QA group. And let me create another user and let me assign a user to this particular group. Should click on user group, click on create group, and all right. See, if you want, you can select this user under this QA group also, which means users can be shared across multiple groups. That is possible, right? Okay. Now let me try to give it to. So in the yesterday session, we had given EC2 full access, correct? Amazon EC2 full access. Just to show some differences, I'll just give Amazon EC2 read-only access, which means I'm again restricting this particular user with this user, this group. For QA group team member, I'm restricting to give full access. Instead, they can only read the, they can only list down the instances details, right? Let us see how it works. So now I'm trying to create a group which is having only EC2 read-only access. Okay, this is also got created, but I have not allocated, I have not assigned any user. Now coming back, create a user called user2. Okay, so let me give password and the password. Okay, so user2 at the rate 123, and let me not select this one. Okay, so add user to this group. Under this section, I'm just selecting this group. So see, which is easier, right? So as and when new user comes in, I'll just have to create a user and assign because these particular groups are already created, I'll just have to assign to these respective groups. Click on review. Yeah, creating a user. So, which means this particular user will have access to only, can only read, or it can only list out the EC2 instances. How to see that? Right? Let me copy this one. Let me try to find. Oops. Okay. So let's just log in with user 2 credentials. Okay, cool. So this is the Internet Explorer is talking about user 2, and this is my Chrome will talk about root user, and Firefox is using user 1. All right. Gonna be go to that. Well, I should use it. Right. Okay, let it be for now. If it is not happening, I'll just open in Firefox. Means I need to log out from user 1. I need to copy the user account. What is the IAM user which I have created? User2 at the rate 123. This is my password. Now I just logged in with user2 and let me get into North Virginia region. Now, in order to test this, what I'll do, with the help of root user, let me try to create one EC2 instance. Let me try to create one EC2 instance, the root user, and let's see how it works in user 2. Okay. Here, okay, let me select the Amazon Linux and city.micro as a default instance type. Become file. Yeah, city.micro. Let me select any of the keys. Click anyone. I'm not logging in. I'll just select any of the key. Now, yeah, click on launch it. See, with the help of root user, I'm able to create a instance. But let me check what will happen in user 2. As we know, user 2 belongs to QA team, and QA team will have only EC2 read-only access. Let us see how it works. When I say EC2 read-only access, it will not throw any error. Instead, it is just showing me the instance which I have created with the help of root user. Please understand, I have created a root user. I've created a EC2 instance in root user, but still user 2 has access of EC2 read-only access. Hence, I'm able to see this instance. But I cannot do anything out of it, which means see, you can get this QA member. They can just get these IP addresses, whatever, and they can just log into the servers and whatever they want to do, they can do it. But they cannot do any operations apart from reading. Reading in a sense, they can only list down the instances here, but they cannot terminate or they cannot stop the instances. Let me try to terminate. Look at here. What it says, you are not authorized to perform these operations, which means this particular user called user2 having access of EC2 read only. Okay, so that is the reason he is not able to terminate or he is not able to create also, right? So even it'll ask a couple of details, but when you click on launch instance, it will throw the same error. I think it's a bug issue, right? So I think we should tell Amazon that we should not allow user to to land into this page. right? That is correct. Right? See, if he is not able to create an instance, then the AWS should not allow to enter this one, or is not ask. I mean, it is just a wastage of time, right, to select all these options. Correct. So let's see. Do you see my point, right? If see anyhow, definitely for sure, 100% I'll not be able to create an instance by clicking this launch instance. So I'll only get an error message after clicking on this launch instance. Correct. So instead, if you just click on launch instance option in the first page itself, if you get this error message, that will be useful, right? So do you see my point? What I'm trying to say, we are seeing this error message here after entering some details. Instead, as and when we click on launch instance, it should show me an error, right? So that will be the best practice. Anyway, probably they'll have their own intention while implementing this one. Any questions here? Any questions?
Naveen, while creating the user, after giving that the password thing, there is some other thing called boundaries. Can you give some information on that one?
Okay, let me see. IAM. Users. Where exactly? While creating a user, you're saying?
Yeah, after creating the user, uh, yeah, you just input the name. There, if you scroll down, there is somewhere I saw this. Yeah, next.
Okay. Okay. And let me uncheck this one. Okay.
Here, the set permissions boundary.
We will see that. So, yes, we'll talk about these permissions later. Okay. So we have these
O-
permissions also. We'll just see. I'm just keeping simple at this point.
Okay,
Okay.
okay.
We'll see that one. Okay. Apart from that, anything else? Now, uh, as we know, QA group will not be able to create an instance. It can only list down the instance. What if I have to assign additional row? Is that possible? Is that possible? Sir, no?
Yes, yes.
Okay. We can always attach the policy. Even for the user, we can always enhance the policies, as well as for the groups also, we can enhance the policy. So as of now, QA group is assigned with read-only access, right? So this particular group is having a permission of Amazon EC2 read-only access, correct? So now we can add additional policies as well. Let us see how it works. So if I just assign this EC2 full access to this group, okay, now you can stop or you can terminate as well. You see my point? See what I did for the group called create group, I have assigned EC2 full access, correct? So now I can create a user, I can create a EC2 instance with the help of user2, because user2 belongs to this QA group. Now what I'll do, I'll just this is the server which I have created with the help of user2 group. Now I can play around something, because it has got EC2 full institutional access. Correct? Do you see my point? Without Balram?
Yes, yes, Naveen.
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, fine. So which means we can create a user and we can create a group and we can assign multiple uh, groups to a single user. That is also possible. And even we can increase the access or roles to the existing users or to the existing groups. Now, let us look into theory part, how it goes. As I mentioned, uh, an IAM group is a collection of users, which means I have created a group called dev team and it has got a necessary users or necessary accesses, right? So a necessary team member. If if these four team members belong to this dev team, then I'm creating a group. So this group is nothing but it's a collection of users, right? That's what we are saying. IAM group is a collection of users and group specifies the permission for a collection of users, correct? So whatever the permissions which I'm allocating on dev team, so possible team members which are available under this team will have the similar access and user can contain many users. Yeah, that's what we discussed. Okay. And default quota is 300 groups. By default, right? By default, we can create 300 groups in short for a particular AWS account. For a particular AWS account, I can create up to 300 groups. Is there any chance to increase the capacity of the group? Yes, that is also possible. So if you remember, we have something called as service quota. Yeah. So this is one service we have, and here we'll have all the restrictions, kind of details like what is the maximum limit, or can these service requests can be extended due to some reason. All these things can be seen here. What we are seeing, so we are just seeing about IAM, right? So yeah, let us see how to increase also. See groups per account. What it is saying, a particular account can have maximum of 300. But can this be adjustable? Yes. How many you can create? Give them only 300. I think we can extend up to 500. Not sure, but this is a place where you can see uh, the default values which are assigned for a particular services. And if it is extendable, yes, we can always raise a request. For example, if I have to extend this one, I can just request this service quota. I don't know. If I remember exactly, we can increase this till 500. I don't know why I'm seeing this one. Probably let's see whether it will allow. Yeah, we can just give this value and click on request. And we need to give a justification to the AWS. Why are we trying to extend? Why are we trying to increase the groups in your account? Okay, so this is how we can increase the limits as well based on our requirement, right? And I've just given some whatever the things I've done practically. I've just listed down here. Just try to follow this one, right? So this is about IAM groups and attaching the policies.